Hello and welcome to English Digest. I'm Seb.
And I'm Elsie.
And today we are talking about shopping and fashion and all of those great things.
I love shopping. So Seb, where do you usually shop for your new clothes and shoes?
Okay, lots of different places. I shop online. I shop in big chain stores as well, fast fashion stores like Zara and H&M. But what I really like to do when I have time is to go thrifting. Thrifting.
Okay.
So buying secondhand clothes. And thrifting you can do at special thrift stores, like fashionable thrift stores where they pick out lots of nice secondhand clothes for you. Or you can go to charity shops, like in Taiwan, they have a lot of kind of like Buddhist charity shops where people donate their old clothes and you can search through there to find things that you find interesting. It takes a lot more time because you have to look through a lot of different things, but I think you can find some really interesting things when you have the time.
So do you consider yourself a bargain hunter then?
I don't know. I feel like I'm too bad with money to be a bargain hunter. I think to be a bargain hunter, you have to be good with money.
Yeah, but do you buy luxuries?
Luxuries. I don't buy luxuries, no. That's because I don't have the money, though. What about you? What about your shopping habits?
I like to go to Zara and H&M, like you said, because it's very fast. I can go in and out and get what I want.
So do you just go because it's quick?
It's quick and it's not expensive.
Okay.
Right. And sometimes I like to shop online too.
Right. Shopping online can be very good as well. It's cheaper. It's quick if you know what you want. For me, whenever I shop online, I spend ages because I have to go through everything and then pick everything I like and then look through it again and pick the things I want to buy.
And do you compare prices?
No. As I said, I'm very bad with money.
I see.
Anyway, let's get into today's topic and instructions. So, from time to time, we all have to buy new clothes for different occasions and situations. But how much money we might spend or we might want to spend varies from person to person. Some people may shop for fast fashion, while others may prefer luxury brand clothing. Using fast fashion and luxury fashion as your topic, write a passage of 120 words and 2 paragraphs. Your passage should consider the advantages and disadvantages of both, as well as state your own preference.
OK， 今天的提示呢，给我们的是生活中我们常常需要为了因应不同的时间或场合而添购新的衣服。然而呢，由于每个人的偏好、预算、需求都是不一样的，有些人喜欢呢快速时尚的潮流服饰，主打平价，但是品质一般。那也有人呢比较讲究一些，喜欢选择奢侈品牌，单价比较高，但是品质比较佳。请你以快速时尚与奢侈品牌为题哦，分析比较两者的优缺点，并说明自己的偏好。那文章必须要分段，文长至少是120个单词。
Right. So before we get into this, what is fast fashion?
Fast fashion, 快速时尚，就像我们刚刚说的 Zara and H&M, and there used to be Forever 21 in Taiwan.
Or also a Taiwanese brand, Net, as well. So fast fashion is kind of similar to fast food. And the fast here means speedy, but it also means cheap. So we're saying things that are accessible, affordable for most people. Well, if for fast food, they make it very quickly, you can eat it and go. But for fast fashion, I think it's more about the speed of the designs. Like the clothes in fast fashion stores change very, very quickly. Like every month there is a lot of
even
new
every
stuff.
week.
And so that has a few advantages we're going to be getting into. It's very, very, very popular, obviously. Apparently, I heard the fast fashion industry in total is worth $35.8 billion US. So,
wow.
Yeah. One of the reasons is because people like going shopping as entertainment. You know, this assignment said we buy clothes for occasions and situations, but I think we also buy clothes just because it's nice to go shopping sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a thing you can do on the weekend. You can hang out with your friends, get coffee, and then go to Dongchu or something like that and buy clothes.
Yeah, or you just go in there to see what's new
Yes, exactly. Or maybe you've got a birthday or a party coming up and you want to wear something new, and so you go for that. And so obviously, when you're doing that, you're going to want to buy something cheap, but stylish. And that's why fast fashion is so popular. So what about luxury fashion?
Luxury fashion, like the brand you just mentioned.
Yes, like Louis Vuitton, like Dior, like Versace, all of those big fashion houses. Basically, I want to talk about this beginning bit, established brands in the minds of consumers. So basically what this means, an established brand is one that's been around for a very long time and is very successful. But they're also established in terms of their exclusiveness, meaning only certain people can afford them and get them. Their selectiveness, they only create a certain number of things and they create very specific designs and very high quality designs. And their extraordinariness. So that's from the word extraordinary. They're special in some way. That's the kind of qualities that make luxury fashion. They have to be special, they have to be very high quality, and only a few people get them. You can't have everybody getting luxury fashion, or it's not luxury fashion.
And that's why they're so expensive.
Exactly. So yeah, you need to have this, it's an image of being very stylish, very fashionable, and very wealthy. So do you have any luxury goods, Elsie?
I have one or two luxury purses and wallets.
I see. And do you use them a lot, or
I use the wallet every day, but as for the purses, I only use them when I go to some formal occasions or some special occasions.
I see. Yeah. So you kind of use them to be like, today I'm feeling very elegant. This is a very special occasion.
Yeah, when I dressed up.
Yeah, I'm dressing up.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Dressing up, remember, is when you put on very fancy clothes. You wear things for a more formal occasion. When you dress down, you wear very casual clothes. So dressing up, dressing down is not a positive, negative thing. It's about how formal or informal you're being.
Right. So what about you? Do you have any luxury goods?
I can only think of one right now. I have a watch, which is a luxury watch, and it's by a British fashion house, and I wear that one quite a lot. But that one was an heirloom, so it was handed down to me from my grandfather. So an heirloom. Sorry?
传家宝.
Exactly. And an heirloom is something that you get from your parents, from your grandparents when they pass away, or just they can give it to you at any time in their life. So that's the only one I can think of right now. I don't really have enough money for luxury goods.
So do you think luxury goods actually last longer?
Yes, I think so. I think especially with watches, the pieces, are more high quality. They use more high quality materials, and it's easier to find someone who will fix it and repair it and keep it in good condition for you. Anyway, let's get into developing an approach, because we've talked a lot about fast fashion, luxury fashion, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about which one we prefer. So how should we write a passage about this? Are we writing a story? Are we writing an essay? Are we writing a poem? What are we doing?
OK， 我们今天要写的是论说文。那论说文呢，包含论和说。论指的是对主题的见解和主张，属于比较主观的论断。那说呢，指的是解说和分析主题，属于比较客观的说明。那常见的论说文类型有第一种，剖析某事物的优缺点，还有利害得失。那再来呢，就是比较两事物的优缺点。第三种则是说明某事物的影响或重要性。面对这样子类型的题目呢，我们必须要提出理由，加以举证，分析原因，然后说明结果。
Exactly. With argumentative essays, you're often trying to convince someone or share an opinion. Now, you might be thinking, argumentative essay, does this mean I need to argue? Well, yes and no. We're arguing, but not in an angry way. You're trying to convince someone of your opinion, and you're doing so in an informed way. You're using facts, you're using experiences, and you're using data to support your argument. So we're going to be thinking about different benefits and different disadvantages of both luxury and fast fashion. We'll be presenting that information, and then we'll be using it to support our opinion, whether we like it or we dislike it.
没错，那再来呢，我们要看到的是写什么，怎么写。那英文作文的架构呢，基本上分为引言 introduction、主题 body， 还有结论 conclusion 三个部分。那就像中文里面的起承转合。那本次论说文呢，也是用这样子的架构发展哦。Introduction 是文章的引言，说明书写此篇文章的动机。全文的主旨句，也就是我们说的 Thesis Statement， 常常在第一段就会点出来。那论说文的 Introduction 可以有以下几种的写法，同学们可以参考。第一个，解释主题并说明要探讨此主题的缘由。第二个，说明一般人或专家对主题的看法。第三个，统计或学理上的报道和诠释。第四个，清楚表达个人的看法、相关的经验或所支持的论点。
Good points, Elsie. You want your thesis statement to be very clear, but how you write it will depend on how you want to structure your essay. That's because you could write your essay in an analytical style, or you could do so in a narrative style. Now, analytical essays use facts, numbers, and the author's judgment to persuade the reader. Narrative essays, on the other hand, use storytelling. Depending on which one you use, you will need a suitable thesis statement. For example, an analytical style thesis statement for today's topic would be, despite its problems, fast fashion is much more practical than luxury fashion. See how that works? We're presenting our thesis statement in a factual, neutral way. A narrative thesis statement, however, might be more personal. For example, fast fashion saved my life while I was a poor student. Here, we're using a personal experience to outline what we're going to be talking about. It's clear that we're going to be talking about why fast fashion is good, at least some of the time, but we're doing it from a personal angle. We're not speaking about facts, we're speaking about experiences. So, depending on the story you want to tell, you need to have a suitable thesis statement.
好，那再来呢，我们要看到 body 的部分哦。body 呢是文章的主体，那必须立论清楚，要具有说服力，那做出合理的说明，并且加上佐证的细节，也就是 supporting details。那分析 A、B 两者事物的优缺点的时候啊，两者的优缺点要互相呼应对比。那常见的作文安排方式呢，就是第一个，一段说明 A 的优缺点，另外一段说明 B 的优缺点。像是我们今天的 advanced sample 会用到的。那再来第二个，我们可以在第一段说明 A、B 的优点，第二段说明 A、B 的缺点。好，我们今天的 basic sample 基本的这个例子就是用到这样子的说明方式。那再来呢，我们会看到的是 conclusion， 是文章的结论，可以简单的总结或重申前面提过的要点，也可以提出建议。那这样子的方式可以让论述更明确。Okay, now let's move on to our brainstorming part, okay? 那在我们的 brainstorming 的部分呢，我们要利用以下的象限图，把两个比较项目的优劣用条列式填入对应的区块。这么做呢，能帮助你快速的整理出文章各段的重点，而且有了这些想法之后啊，你就能很快的建构出文章的大纲。
So, when we're doing our brainstorming, we can use a quadrant graph like the one below in your magazines to organize our thoughts. Now, quadrant graphs like this are very good for identifying advantages and disadvantages that are unique to one side or the other. In fact, actually, in marketing and in other things like business plans, people use this kind of graph to think about what is unique about their business. So, for example, I don't know, if you're going to open a hat shop and you're trying to think about what's special about your hat shop, you might use one of these advantages, disadvantages, or you could change these with other things to try and look at different hat shops in your area and how they are different, what's special about them. So here, the reason we're doing this is there's obviously lots of advantages to luxury goods and fast fashion, and there's lots of disadvantages. But which ones you pick for your essay are going to influence how persuasive your essay is. And I'd say one of the best ways of doing this is to choose points which are more extreme. Choose ones which are only really talking about one or the other. So, for example, if we look at our quadrant graph here, we have the one stylish, for example. That's an advantage, but that is something you could say about both fast fashion and high quality fashion. It's not such a good point for saying one is better than the other. However, if we talk about long lasting, which is also in the advantages section, that one we might want to put further over on the outside of the quadrant graph because it is more like high quality fashion and less like fast fashion. That's a good point to include if you want to argue in favor of luxury fashion. Another one. So as I'm not sure if this is clear, when you're organizing your ideas, you should put things which are more true about fast fashion further out onto the left side, outside, on the outside of the graph, and things that are more true about high quality fashion or very true about high quality fashion on the right side of the graph. And then things which kind of apply to both, you can put in the middle, okay? So you can organize these points a little bit better according to how true they are about one thing or the other, okay? So you can also think about putting it higher up or lower down depending on how big of an advantage it is or how big of a disadvantage it is.
OK， 帮同学们整理一下哈，我们刚刚说到的象限图呢，针对 advantages 跟 disadvantages， 也就是优缺点，这样上面的使用是非常重要的。所以呢，我们今天图片看到的象限图，左边 fast fashion 快速时尚，右边就是相反的 high quality fashion。那上方是 advantages。优点，下方就是相反的 disadvantages， 也就是缺点的部分。那刚刚有提到，你在分析 A、B 两事物的时候呢，这个优缺点是要互相呼应对比的，所以就像是刚刚 Seb 说的，你要找一个是可以显示出它们对比度的点来说。So what else do we see on this quadrant graph?
Well, I think one which is very good is infinite choices. So that is very true about fast fashion. Every time you go into Zara, there's something different.
Right.
Yeah, it's an advantage. We could say that's a very big advantage, especially if you are going to talk about how you love to go shopping every weekend. I think when you're doing this, you should also think about what kind of person you are or what kind of shopper you think the reader is, and you can organize it based on that. If you're saying shopping is entertainment, then you might want to put that as one of your main points, that there's a lot of possibility.
Okay, so now let's go to the outline part.
Right, let's move on to the outline. Okay, so again, when we're putting this into our essay, we only have 120 words, and we have so many things we can say. So how are we going to get all of those points, or some of those points, into our essay, and how are we going to choose the right ones to make it a convincing essay? That's where the outline comes in. With the outline, we're going to put out our main points, our topic sentences, and we're also going to add some supporting information as well. We're going to add facts or opinions that help support those topic sentences. So, to do your outline, I want you to pick 2 to 5 points from the quadrant graph that you think are worth talking about. And then you can use these to create your topic sentences. Let's look at the outline and from there we can see how we can turn it into an essay. So, Elsie, do you want to take us through the introduction and the first paragraph?
Sure. 这边的引言呢，写的是 I went shopping for some new clothes last week. 他讲到自己呢上周去买衣服，然后你会看到第一段里面他要讲的是两者的优点，就是快速时尚跟这些比较贵的奢侈品两者的优点哦。所以呢，他的主题句是 It reminded me that we have so many choices for clothes. Fast fashion is inexpensive and changes quickly. By comparison, high-quality fashion lasts longer. Its designs are stylish, but they may not change as quickly as fashion does. 所以这里呢，我们的第一段就像我刚刚说的，他先把两者的优点讲出来，那到了第二段的地方就会讲两者的缺点。OK， 所以呢，我们看一下 paragraph 2的地方哦，主题句。However,Both fast fashion and high-quality fashion have their downsides, 也就是 their disadvantages. Fast fashion is cheap, but its material is cheap too. High-quality fashion has different challenges. It is expensive and saving up for one item takes a long time. 最后再带出结论 I can't afford high-quality fashion right now, so I buy fast fashion. 比较之后提出自己的想法，自己的观点。
Exactly. So what we have here is a simple pros and cons essay structure, which is a great one if you're not sure about how you want to structure your passage. It's really easy to do. Just use one paragraph to talk about the advantages of both, and then one to discuss the disadvantages of both. Lastly, with your conclusion, you can explain which one of the two you prefer and why. It's simple, easy to do, and convincing because it considers both sides of the argument. What you're doing here is you're trying to lead the reader through all of the logic and then give them an opinion. You can also do this in a different way. You could actually begin by saying, I think that fast fashion is better than luxury fashion, by giving your opinion first and then using the same advantages and disadvantages to support your point. If you're going to do this, I think it's very good in the conclusion to restate your point and kind of show why the points you've shown support your initial statement.
没错，也就是在第一段的时候呢，主题句的地方先提出自己的想法、自己的意见、自己的论点，然后比较之后，最后你还可以再重申一次你自己的意见。
Right. Okay, let's take a break here, and then when we're back, we'll go through the basic sample and look at some useful writing tips for doing your own passage. Basic sample. Just last week, I went shopping for some new clothes. It reminded me of what a huge variety of clothing choices we have. In terms of cost, style, and quality, there's something for everyone. Fast fashion, as seen in stores like Zara and Uniqlo, is inexpensive and changes quickly. By comparison, high-quality fashion offers long-lasting clothes. The designs are still stylish, but they may not change at quite the pace fast fashion does. Both fast fashion and high-quality fashion have their downsides, though. Fast fashion is cheap when it comes to prices, but it's also cheap in terms of material. While high-quality fashion doesn't have this issue, there are challenges for lovers of this type of clothing. High-quality fashion is expensive, and it can take a long time to save up for one item of clothing. At this stage in my life, I can't afford that, so I buy fast fashion. Okay, so we've already discussed the structure of this passage, so let's focus on the vocabulary. The first one I want to look at is long-lasting, and we pointed this out earlier when we were doing our brainstorm. When something is long-lasting, it is durable. For example, a long-lasting table would be made of very strong wood or very strong materials, and you can use it for 10, 20, 40, 50, 100 years, and it's still going to stand very strong. It's very high quality. Next, Elsie, could you tell us a little bit about this phrase, by comparison?
By comparison 可以带出对比的事情。好，所以呢，像我们的文章用到的，前面他先讲到的是快速时尚的好，然后呢 by comparison 后面呢他就讲到的是这个 high-end brands， 也就是那些比较贵的奢侈品的好处是什么。那再来呢，他用到了一个片语啊，他用了2遍 in terms of。就点点点来说，好，可以带出你要针对谈论的项目。再来呢，最后他还说到了 at this stage in my life， 那就是在我人生现在的阶段，然后他带出他是比较支持 fast fashion 快速时尚的，因为他能够负担。
Also, another word that I want to look at here is downsides. Now, downsides basically means disadvantages, and its opposite is upsides. The upside of something is the advantage or the positive side of it. So, basically, when we're talking about the downsides of high quality or fast fashion, we're talking about the bad things about it, maybe to do with their price, to do with their materials, to do with their lack of sustainability. Those are all downsides. An example sentence for downsides might be, this class is engaging, fun, and you'll learn a lot of Spanish. However, the downside is that it's also quite expensive. So that is how we might use it in a sentence. Right, let's move on to the advanced sample now. Advanced sample. I treasure my weekends. Not only do I have a bit of relief from my studies, but I also have free rein to explore my personal style. During the week, I have no choice but to wear my school uniform. On the weekend, though, I can wear what I like. In addition to my look, I often find myself considering the ethics of my fashion choices. Fast fashion offers me nearly infinite choice. At Net, H&M, and my local street markets, prices range from reasonably affordable to downright cheap. I could conceivably build an entire wardrobe with a wide variety of items for only 2,000 NT dollars or so. However, cheap clothes are cheap because they're made by exploited workers, many of whom are children. Furthermore, the material that goes into making them is of poor quality. Contrast this with more reasonably produced fashion. A pair of trousers might last you decades, as the fabric is chosen with care, and the workers are able to put more time and skill into their construction. High-quality garments are also easier to mend, allowing you to reduce waste by declining to throw away a torn shirt in favor of repairing it. The cost of better quality and more ethical labor is reflected in the high prices of these kinds of clothes. In my view, though, the cost is worth it. I'd rather buy long-lasting clothes that I can be proud of. I can combine my few items of clothing creatively to get the stylish wardrobe I want. Okay, so here as Elsie said earlier, what we're doing here is we're talking about the advantages of one and the disadvantages of the other. So let's focus on the vocabulary. Now, when someone has free rein to do something, it means they have freedom to do something. The rein in free rein is actually a reference to horses. Reins are the bits of leather that you hold onto, or the bits of rope that you hold onto to control a horse when you're riding it. So if you have free rein, if you have no reins on, then the horse is free to do whatever it wants. So having free rein to do something is having freedom to do something. Another good word to look at is ethics. Now, ethics is ideas about what's good and what's bad. So if we talk about the ethics of fashion choices, it's thinking about fashion from an ethical perspective. It's thinking about fashion in terms of its impact on society, or what's good for the people who make it, what's good for the environment. Those are all ethical kinds of things to consider. Lastly, I want to look at this phrase, downright. Now, we use downright as an adverb before an adjective to emphasize that adjective. So if we say something is downright cheap, like we saw in the passage, we mean it's very cheap or it's very affordable. If we say something someone said is downright rude, then we mean it's very impolite, it's a very ugly thing to say.
OK， 那我带同学来看几个重要的句型哦，像是呢我们这边用到的 I have no choice but to 代表的是不得不去做某事。好，那 to 后面原形动词接下去说。那另外呢，如果你不想要用 choice， 还有其他两个选择，你可以用 option 或是 alternative 来代替它。那再来呢，就是要注意到的是 contrast 这个动词哦。Contrast 还有 compare 这两个动词都有比较的意思，可是呢，差别在于当你用到 contrast 的时候，它是比较人或物彼此之间的差异性是什么。那如果你用的是 compare， 它就没有限制比较的异同了，可以比较同样的东西，也可以比较不同的东西。
All right, I think that's all the time we have for today's episode. So you guys will be ready now to go and write your passage on fast and luxury fashion. So we will see you next month with more writing tips and guides for doing your assignments, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.